Ivy looked up, her eyes filled with uncertainty. What if the kids don't like me? What if I can't make any friends? Jennifer reached over and took Ivie's hand in hers. Ivie, you are a wonderful person. Anyone would be lucky to have you as a friend. Ivie was a 15-year-old girl living with her mother Jennifer. They had recently relocated to Lagos from Ibadan because Jennifer had gotten a new job. Life had been tough for them ever since Ivie's father had died when she was just 6 years old. Jennifer had taken on the role of both mother and father, working tirelessly to provide for Ivie. The move to Lagos was supposed to be a fresh start, but Ivie felt a heavy weight in her heart. She had left all her friends behind, and the thought of starting over at a new school filled her with dread. The evening before her first day at the new school, Ivie sat with her mother in their small cozy living room. The walls were adorned with pictures from their life in Ibadan, each one a reminder of the good times they had shared. Ivie hugged a pillow tightly as she stared at the floor, her mind racing with worries. Mom, Ivie began, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm really scared about going to the new school. Jennifer, who had been reading a book, put it down and looked at her daughter with a gentle smile. I know, Ivie. It's normal to feel scared when you are starting something new, but I believe in you. You are a strong and brave girl. Ivie looked up, her eyes filled with uncertainty. What if the kids don't like me? What if I can't make any friends? Jennifer reached over and took Ivie's hand in hers. Ivie, you are a wonderful person. Anyone would be lucky to have you as a friend. Just be yourself and you will find your place. But it's so different here, Ivie said, her voice trembling. Everything is bigger and louder. I miss Ibadan. Jennifer sighed, understanding her daughter's feelings. I miss it too, Ivie. But sometimes we have to make changes to find better opportunities. My new job here in Lagos will help us a lot. It will give us a better life. Ivie nodded, though the sadness in her eyes remained. I know, Mom. I just wish things could be like they were before. Jennifer pulled Ivie into a warm embrace. I understand, sweetheart. Change is hard, but we can get through this together. Tomorrow is a new day, and it might be the start of something wonderful. Ivie buried her face in her mother's shoulder, taking comfort in her warmth. I hope so, Mom. Jennifer stroked Ivie's hair gently. How about we make a plan for tomorrow? We can think about what you will wear, what you will take for lunch, and what you will say when you meet your new classmates. Ivie pulled back slightly and managed a small smile. Okay, that sounds like a good idea. They spent the next hour planning Ivie's first day at her new school. Jennifer suggested Ivie's school uniform, a crisp white shirt and a navy blue skirt. They packed a lunch together, making sure to include Ivie's favorite snacks. As they talked, Ivie began to feel a bit more at ease. Mom, what if I can't find my way around the school? Ivie asked, her worry resurfacing. Jennifer smiled reassuringly. Most schools have student guides to help new students. And if you get lost, just ask a teacher or another student for help. People are usually very kind. Ivie nodded, taking in her mother's advice. I guess that makes sense. But what if the teachers are mean? Jennifer chuckled softly. Not all teachers are mean, Ivie. Most of them want to help you learn and succeed. Just be respectful and do your best, and you will be fine. Ivie sighed, feeling a mix of anxiety and hope. I guess I will just have to see how it goes. Jennifer kissed Ivie's forehead. That's the spirit. Remember, I'm always here for you no matter what. You can talk to me about anything. I know, Mom. Thanks for always being there, Ivie said, hugging her mother tightly. You are welcome, my love. Now, let's get some sleep. You will need to be well rested for your big day tomorrow. Ivie nodded and followed her mother to her room. As she lay in bed, she couldn't help but think about the new school and the new people she would meet. She felt a knot of fear in her stomach, but her mother's words gave her a glimmer of courage. The next morning, Ivie woke up early. She dressed in her new school uniform, the crisp white shirt and navy blue skirt that they had picked out. She ate breakfast with her mother, trying to keep her nerves in check. Jennifer walked out to the bus stop, giving her one last hug before the bus arrived. Remember, Ivie, just be yourself. You are going to do great, Jennifer said with a smile. I will try, Mom. Thanks, Ivie replied, her voice trembling slightly. Jennifer waved goodbye to Ivie, giving her an encouraging smile before heading off to work. Ivie took a deep breath and boarded the bus going to her new school. She noticed other students from her school on the bus, but decided to keep to herself. She put on her earpiece and started playing her favorite music to calm her nerves. As the bus moved through the busy streets of Lagos, Ivie looked out the window, trying to take in her new surroundings. The city was much larger and noisier than Ibadan, and it was a lot to take in. She felt a mix of excitement and nervousness about what lay ahead. When the bus finally came to a halt, Ivie took off her earpiece and got off the bus. She followed the other students into the school compound, feeling a little overwhelmed by the sheer size of the place. The school had tall buildings, and students were moving in every direction, chatting and laughing as they made their way to their classes. Ivie hesitated for a moment, then approached a girl who looked friendly. Excuse me, she said shyly. Can you please tell me where the principal's office is? The girl pointed towards a large building. It's over there. Just go straight and you will see the sign. Thank you, Ivie replied with a smile and headed in the direction the girl had pointed. Ivie found the principal's office and took a deep breath before entering. Inside, she saw a man in his 50s sitting behind a large desk. He looked up and smiled warmly at her. Good morning, sir, Ivie said politely. My name is Ivie Peters. I'm the new student. Good morning, Ivie, the principal replied. I'm Mr. Joshua Ibe, the principal. Welcome to CK Prestigious High School. Please have a seat. Ivie sat down, feeling a little less nervous. Mr. Joshua made a call and then turned back to Ivie. Ivie, we will just wait for your class teacher to come and take you to your class. How are you finding Lagos so far? It's very different from Ibadan, Ivie admitted, but I'm getting used to it. That's good to hear, Mr. Joshua said with a nod. I'm sure you will settle in here quickly. A few minutes later, a tall man with a kind face entered the office. This is Mr. Brown, your class teacher, Mr. Joshua said, introducing the man to Ivie. Hello, Ivie. Mr. Brown greeted her warmly. Welcome to our school. Thank you, sir, Ivie replied, standing up. Mr. Brown led Ivie out of the principal's office and through the bustling corridors. I'm taking you to SS2B, he explained. That's your new class. Don't worry, you'll be fine. When they reached the classroom, Ivie could hear the noise from inside. Mr. Brown opened the door and the students immediately fell silent when they saw him. Ivy stood nervously beside him, feeling all eyes on her. Good morning, class. Mr. Brown said, we have a new student joining us today. This is Ivy Peters. Please make her feel welcome. Some students giggled, and Ivy heard someone whisper, is she from the village? Another voice added, why is she joining us now? Mr. Brown frowned and raised his hand for silence. That's enough, Ivy. You can sit here at the front, he said, pointing to an empty seat. Felix, please move to the back. Felix, a boy who had been sitting at the front, grumbled but did as he was told. Ivy took her seat, feeling a mix of relief and anxiety. Mr. Brown instructed the class to settle down and wait for their lessons to begin. When Mr. Brown left, Ivy found herself alone. None of the students wanted to talk to her. She noticed a group of students gathered together, laughing and whispering. Ivy tried to ignore them, focusing on the notebook she had placed on her desk. After a few minutes, a girl with a bright smile walked up to Ivy. Hi, I'm Tayo, she said cheerfully. Welcome to CK Prestigious High. Hi, Tayo, Ivy replied, feeling a bit better. Thank you. Don't mind those other kids, Tayo said, glancing at the group that had been whispering. Some of them can be bullies, but don't let them get to you. They are just trying to see if you are tough enough. Ivy nodded. Thanks for the advice. It's nice to meet someone friendly. Tayo smiled and sat down next to Ivy. You'll be fine. Just ignore the mean ones and focus on making friends with the nice ones. So, where are you from? Ibadan, Ivy replied. We just moved here because my mom got a new job. That's cool. Lagos is a big place, but it's fun once you get used to it, Tayo said. What does your mom do? She works for a big company here, Ivy explained. It's a great opportunity for her, but it meant we had to move. I understand, Tayo said. Change can be hard, but it sounds like your mom is doing her best for you. She is, Ivy said with a smile. I'm really proud of her. Before they could continue their conversation, the teacher for the first lesson of the day walked in. Mrs. Ejiofor, a tall woman with glasses, greeted the class and began the lesson. Ivy tried to focus on what Mrs. Ejiofor was teaching and found that she was able to follow along quite well. Throughout the class, Ivy took notes and tried to participate when she could. She was relieved to find that the material wasn't too different for what she had been studying in Ibadan. Mrs. Ejiofor's explanations were clear, and Ivy found herself smiling as she understood the concepts being taught. After Mrs. Ejiofor finished teaching, she gave the class a homework assignment. I want everyone to read chapter 3 of your textbooks and solve the questions at the end, she instructed. Make sure to complete it before our next lesson. As soon as Mrs. Ejiofor left the room, Tayo moved her seat closer to Ivy. Hey, Ivy, do you understand everything Mrs. Ejiofor taught? She asked with a friendly smile. Ivy nodded. Yes, I did. She explains things really well. That's great, Tayo said, looking pleased. If you ever need help, you can always ask me. Thanks, Tayo. That means a lot, Ivy replied, feeling grateful for her new friend. They continued chatting and laughing, sharing stories about their families and interests. Ivy was beginning to feel more comfortable in her new school thanks to Tayo's kindness. This camaraderie helped her feel less anxious about fitting in. Soon, another teacher entered the classroom and the students settled down. The rest of the morning went by in a similar fashion, with different teachers coming in to teach various subjects. Ivy tried her best to stay focused and participate in the lessons. She wanted to do well and make her mother proud. When the break period finally arrived, Tayo turned to Ivy with a grin. Hey, let's go to the cafeteria and get something to eat. I'm starving. Sounds good, Ivy agreed, happy for a break. As they were about to leave the classroom, a girl named Sophie, who was known for bullying and making other students feel inferior, blocked Ivy's path. Sophie was considered one of the most beautiful girls in the school and came from a very wealthy family. She used her beauty and her parents' wealth to intimidate others. Without warning, Sophie stuck her leg out in front of Ivie. Ivie, not seeing the obstacle, tripped and fell hard on the floor. The classroom erupted in laughter. Ivie's cheeks flushed with embarrassment as she tried to stand up. Are you okay, Ivie? Tayo asked, quickly helping her up. She turned to Sophie, anger flashing in her eyes. Why did you do that, Sophie? That was really mean. Sophie just smiled and shrugged. Oh, please, it's just a joke. Don't take it so seriously, she said dismissively. She then walked away with her friends, Ella and Taye, who were giggling behind her. Ivy felt tears well up in her eyes, but she blinked them back. Thanks, Tayo, she whispered, feeling hot and humiliated. Don't let her get to you, Ivy, Tayo said softly. Sophie thinks she can do whatever she wants because she's rich and pretty, but she's just a bully. You are better than her. Ivy nodded. Though the sting of the fall and the laughter still hurt. I know. It's just hard. I know, Tayo replied, giving her a comforting pat on the back. Come on, let's go get something to eat. You will feel better. They made their way to the cafeteria, where the smell of food filled the air. As they got in line to get their lunch, Ivy noticed some students whispering and pointing at her, still talking about her fall. She tried to ignore them and focus on Tayo's cheerful chatter. Let's eat over there, Tayo suggested, pointing to a table near the window. They took their seats and started eating. Tell me more about Ibadan, Tayo said, trying to keep Ivies distracted from the mean comments around them. What is it like? Ibadan is quieter than Lagos, Ivie began. It's not as crowded and people are really friendly. I had a lot of friends there. We used to play together after school and visit each other's houses. I miss them. It sounds nice, Tayo said. I'm sure you will make new friends here too. I hope so, Ivie replied, managing a small smile. Thanks for being so nice to me, Tayo. It really helps. Anytime, Tayo said brightly. We have to stick together, right? The rest of the lunch break passed by more pleasantly, with Tayo doing her best to keep Ivie's spirits up. However, Ivy couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched and judged. Every time she glanced around, she saw Sophie and her friends laughing and whispering, making her feel uneasy. The final bell rang, signaling the end of the school day. Ivy felt a wave of relief wash over her. She gathered her things and walked out of the classroom with Tayo. Do you need a ride home? Tayo asked as they walked towards the school gate. My driver can drop you off. Thanks, Tayo, but I usually take the bus. Ivie replied. Okay, no problem, Tayo said. See you tomorrow, Ivie. See you tomorrow, Ivie said, waving goodbye as Tayo's driver pulled up to pick her. Ivie headed to the bus station, feeling exhausted from the day's event. She spotted a boy from her class standing nearby and thought about saying hi. But before she could approach him, Sophie appeared out of nowhere and grabbed the boy's hand, smiling sweetly. Let's go, darling, Sophie said loudly, making sure Ivie could hear. She shot Ivie a smug look before walking away with the boy. Ivie sighed and decided to avoid any further confrontation. She boarded the bus and found a seat by the window, thinking about the day. She didn't know the boy's name, but she decided to ask Tayo about him the next day. When she got home, Jennifer was already there waiting for her. How was school, Ivie? She asked with a warm smile. It was great, Mom, Ivie lied, not wanting to worry her mother with the details of her rough day. That's wonderful to hear, Jennifer said, giving her a hug. I'm so proud of you for being brave. Thanks, Mom, Ivie replied, hugging her back. She felt a pang of guilt for not telling her mother the truth, but she didn't want to add to her worries. That night, Ivie sat at her desk and did her homework. She focused on the assignment Mrs. Ejiofor had given them, trying to block out the negative experiences of the day. After finishing her homework, she got ready for bed. As Ivie lay in bed, she thought about Sophie and her sidekicks. She hoped that tomorrow would be better and that she would find more friends like Tayo. With a sigh, she closed her eyes and drifted off to sleep, hoping for a brighter day ahead. The next day, Ivy woke up early and got ready for school. She wore her freshly ironed uniform and made sure her hair was neatly braided. After a quick breakfast, she left the house with her mom. As usual, they walked together to the bus station. Jennifer gave her daughter a reassuring hug before heading off to work. Have a great day, Ivy, Jennifer said, smiling warmly. Thanks, Mom, you too, Ivy replied, returning the smile. Ivy boarded the bus and, as she usually did, put on her earpiece and played her favorite music. The ride to school was familiar now, and she felt a bit more comfortable with each passing day. When the bus stopped in front of the school, Ivy got off and walked in with the other students. As Ivy was about to enter her classroom, she suddenly felt a splash of cold liquid all over her. She gasped and looked around to see Sophie standing there, holding a water can and laughing. Welcome again, village girl, Sophie sneered, her voice dripping with mockery. Ivy felt a surge of anger and embarrassment as the students around her started laughing. She clenched her fists, trying to keep her composure, but her body shook with frustration. Sophie walked up to her, her eyes gleaming with malice. Get used to it, new girl, Sophie said, squeezing Ivy's wrists tightly. You are in my world now. Just then, Tayo walked into the classroom and saw what was happening. Her eyes widened in anger as she rushed over to Ivy. Sophie, did you pour water on her? Tayo demanded, her voice rising. Ivy nodded, feeling tears prick at the corners of her eyes. Stop it already, Sophie, Tayo yelled, moving closer to her. Why are you being so mean? Sophie pushed Tayo out of the way, her expression indifferent. You can't do anything, Tayo. Go ahead. Try and report me to the principal. Let's see what happens. Tayo stood her ground, glaring at Sophie. You need to stop, Sophie, or I will report you. This isn't right. Sophie smiled and walked away with her friends Ella and Taye trailing behind her, laughing. Tayo turned to Ivy, her expression softening. Are you okay, Ivy? I'll be fine, Ivy said, her voice shaky. Thanks for standing up for me. You need to stand up for yourself too, Tayo said gently, helping Ivy to her seat. If you don't, Sophie won't stop. She's used to getting her way. I know, Ivy said, sighing. I will try. A little while later, the boy Ivy had seen at the bus stop the previous day entered the classroom. Ivy knocked Tayo and whispered, Who is that boy? Tayo glanced at him and smiled. That's Alex. He's from a very rich family, even richer than Sophie's. They have been friends since they were little, and their families are close too. Ivy nodded, understanding now why Sophie acted the way she did. Are they, together? Tayo shrugged. I don't know for sure. Alex doesn't usually talk to anyone except Sophie, and she is always throwing herself at him. Ivy chuckled, feeling a bit better. Thanks, Tayo. Anytime, Tayo said, smiling back. The rest of the morning went by with teachers coming in and out of the classroom. Ivy tried to focus on her lessons, but the incident with Sophie kept playing in her mind. During break, she and Tayo went to the cafeteria again. Ivy felt a bit more relaxed with Tayo by her side, though she could still hear whispers and see glances from other students. After the break, Mr. Johnny, the literature teacher, walked into the classroom. He was a tall man with glasses and a serious expression. Good afternoon, class, he said, his voice booming. We are going to have a test today. Take a piece of paper and get ready. The students murmured in surprise, but did as instructed. Ivy felt a bit nervous since she hasn't seen Mr. Johnny the previous day, but she decided to do her best. The test lasted for 30 minutes, and Ivy concentrated hard, trying to remember everything she had studied. When the time was up, Mr. Johnny collected the papers and left the classroom. The students waited anxiously for the result. After a while, Mr. Johnny returned with the test papers in hand. All right, class, he said, looking around. I have graded your test. Some of you did well, while others need to improve. He glanced at the papers and called out, Who is Ivie Peters? Ivie stood up nervously. I am, sir. Mr. Johnny smiled. Congratulations, Ivie. You scored 100% on the test. Well done. Ivie's eyes widened in surprise and delight. Thank you, sir, she said, beaming. Mr. Johnny continued, Sophie, you scored 90%, and Tayo, you scored 88%. Good job to both of you as well. Ivie, keep up the good work. Sophie looked furious, her face turning red. She had always been the top student, and now Ivie had outshone her. Tayo, on the other hand, was thrilled for her friend. Wow, Ivie, you did amazing, Tayo said, clapping her hands. I'm so proud of you. Thanks, Tayo, Ivy replied, feeling a surge of happiness. Some other students came up to her, introducing themselves and saying hi. For the first time since she had started at CK prestigious high school, Ivy felt truly welcomed. The rest of the day went by smoothly. Ivy's confidence had grown, and she felt more at ease with her classmates. When the final bell rang, she and Tayo walked out of the classroom together. See you tomorrow, Ivy, Tayo said as her driver arrived to pick her up. See you tomorrow, Ivy replied, waving goodbye. Ivy headed to the bus station feeling proud of herself. When Ivy got home that evening, she eagerly shared the news of her test results with her mother. Mom, guess what? I scored 100% on a literature test today. Jennifer's face lit up with pride. That's wonderful, Ivy. I'm so proud of you. I knew you could do it. Thanks, Mom, Ivy replied, feeling a warm glow inside. Her mother's pride meant the world to her. Meanwhile, at Tayo's house, Tayo was sitting with her parents at the dining table, enjoying a hearty dinner. The family shared a close bond, always making time to talk and laugh together, despite their busy schedules. Tayo's parents were hardworking but down to earth people who valued family time above all else. Mom, Dad, there's a new girl in my class, Tayo began, her eyes twinkling with excitement. Her name is Ivie, and she beat Sophie in a test today. You should have seen Sophie's face. Her parents laughed, clearly amused. That's quite something, Tayo's dad added, taking a bite of his food. It's good to see someone new shaking things up a bit. Tayo nodded, grinning. Ivie is really nice. I think she will fit in well, even though Sophie is giving her a hard time. Just be a good friend to her, Tayo, her mom said gently. It sounds like she could use one. The next day, Ivy arrived at school early. She dropped her bag in the classroom and headed to the library to get a book she needed for her homework. As she was walking back, she saw Tayo getting out of her car. Good morning, Tayo. Ivy greeted her with a smile. Good morning, Ivy. Tayo replied, smiling back. Are you headed to the library? Mind if I join you? Not at all, Ivy said. Let's go together. They walked to the library, chatting about their favorite books and subjects. Ivy felt grateful for Taya's friendship, especially with all the trouble Sophie was causing. After picking out their books, they returned to the classroom just as Mr. Brown was beginning the first session of the day. Mr. Brown was in the middle of explaining a math problem when Sophie interrupted. Sir, I can't find my money. It's 10,000 naira and it's missing. Mr. Brown looked at her concerned. Have you checked your bag thoroughly? Sophie, maybe you didn't bring it to school. No, sir, Sophie insisted. I know I brought it. Someone must have stolen it. We need to search everyone's bag. Mr. Brown sighed, clearly reluctant, but having no other choice. All right, class. Let's do this quickly and quietly. Everyone, please bring your bags to the front. The students lined up. One by one, their bags were searched. When it was Ivie's turn, she handed over her bag without hesitation. To her shock and horror, the missing money was found inside. I didn't take it, Ivie cried, tears streaming down her face. I swear I didn't steal it. Mr. Brown's face turned red with embarrassment and anger. Ivie, come with me to the principal's office. As they left the classroom, Sophie and her friends started laughing and whispering, calling Ivie a thief. Ivie felt a crushing sense of injustice and humiliation. Tayo watched the scene unfold, feeling a surge of anger. She walked straight up to Sophie. Why did you do it, Sophie? She demanded. You planted that money in Ivie's bag, didn't you? Sophie smiled, unfazed. I don't know what you are talking about. Maybe Ivie is just a thief. You are lying, Tayo said fiercely. You did this because you are jealous of Ivie. She's smarter than you, and you can't stand it. Sophie's face twisted with rage. How dare you? She screamed, raising her hand to slap Tayo. But Tayo was ready. She caught Sophie's wrist mid-air and held it firmly. Don't you dare, Tayo warned her, her voice low and dangerous. If you don't tell the truth, I will. Sophie yanked her hand away, laughing coldly. Go ahead, try it. You have no proof that I did anything. It's your word against mine. Tayo stood her ground, glaring at Sophie. I will find proof, Sophie, and when I do, everyone will know what a liar and a bully you are. Sophie sneered. Good luck with that, Tayo. Now, if you will excuse me, I have better things to do. Sophie strutted out of the classroom, her friends trailing behind her. Tayo felt a knot of frustration in her stomach. She knew Ivie was innocent, but proving it would be difficult without any evidence. At the principal's office, Mr. Brown carefully explained the situation to the principal. Sir, Sophie claimed that 10,000 naira was stolen from her, and when we searched the students' bags, we found the money in Ivie's bag. Principal Ibe turned to Ivie, his expression serious. Ivie, why did you take the money? I didn't take it, sir, Ivie replied, her voice trembling. I don't know how it got there. I swear I didn't steal it. The principal sighed, looking thoughtful. This is a serious accusation, Ivie. We need to call your mother and inform her of the situation. Please, sir, don't call my mom, Ivie begged. It will only make her worried. I promise I didn't do it. But the principal shook his head. I'm sorry, Ivie, but stealing is not tolerated in our school. We have to follow the rules. Reluctantly, Ivie watched as the principal called her mother. Jennifer arrived at the school shortly after, her face full of concern. What happened, Principal Ibe? She asked as she entered the office. The principal narrated the situation, explaining how the money had been found in Ivie's bag. Ivie looked at her daughter, tears streaming down her face. Mom, I didn't do it. It was a setup. Sophie put the money in my bag to get me into trouble. Jennifer hugged her daughter tightly. I believe you, Ivie. I know you would never steal. There must be some mistakes. Turning to the principal, Jennifer said firmly, Principal Ibe, I trust my daughter. Please, investigate this matter thoroughly. Ivie is telling the truth. The principal nodded, understanding the concern. We will look into this, Mrs. Peter. But in the meantime, Ivie will be suspended for a week until we complete our investigation. Ivie cried as she left the school with her mother. Jennifer did her best to console her on the way home. It's going to be okay, Ivie. We'll get to the bottom of this, I promise. At home, Jennifer made Ivie a cup of hot chocolate and sat with her on the couch. Tell me everything, Ivie. What has been happening at school? Ivie took a deep breath and began to explain how Sophie had been bullying her since her first day. She keeps calling me village girl and tries to embarrass me in front of everyone. Yesterday, she poured water on me, and today she framed me for stealing her money. Jennifer felt a mix of anger and sadness. I knew there was something more to this. Sophie must have planted the money in your bag to get you in trouble. We need to prove your innocence, Ivie. I don't have Tayo's number, Ivie said, feeling hopeless. I can't even talk to her about this. We'll find a way. Jennifer assured her, don't worry. We'll make sure the truth comes out. Back at school, Tayo was determined to find proof that Sophie had set Ivie up. She talked to several students, hoping someone had seen something, but no one could provide any useful information. Frustrated, but not ready to give up, Tayo decided to approach Alex, the boy who was always with Sophie. During the break, Tayo found Alex with his friends. Gathering her courage, she walked up to him. Alex, can I talk to you for a moment? She asked. Alex looked at her, clearly uninterested. What do you want? He asked coolly. It's about Ivie. Tayo began. Sophie framed her for stealing. And now Ivie is being suspended. We need your help to prove her innocence. Alex's expression remained indifferent. Why should I care? It's none of my business. It should be your business because Sophie is your girlfriend, Tayo said, her frustration showing. Alex's face darkened with anger. Sophie is not my girlfriend, he snapped. She's just a family friend. I don't have anything to do with her schemes. Stay out of my business. But Alex, Tayo pleaded, you must have seen something. Please, Ivy is innocent and she needs your help. Alex turned away, clearly done with the conversation. I said it's not my problem. Leave me alone. Tayo watched him walk away, feeling a mix of disappointment and determination. She knew she had to keep trying, no matter how hard it was. She couldn't let Sophie get away with ruining Evie's life. After school, Alex and Sophie walked home as usual. The sun was setting, casting long shadows on the pavement. Alex turned to Sophie, his expression serious. Sophie, can I ask you something? Sophie glanced at him, her eyes narrowing slightly. What is it, Alex? It's about the money, Alex began, choosing his words carefully. Did you plant it in Evie's bag? Sophie's face twisted into an expression of innocence. Of course not. Why would you even think that? Alex studied her closely, trying to gauge her reaction. I just wanted to be sure. It seems odd that the money was found so quickly in her bag. Sophie shrugged, her tone dismissive. Maybe she really is a thief. You never know with these new kids. Alex nodded slowly. Alright, I just needed to ask. The next day, which was Evie's first day of suspension, Tayo arrived at school feeling a pang of sadness at her friend's absence. The classroom felt different without Ivie. Throughout the day, Tayo kept glancing back at Sophie and her friends, who seemed to be enjoying themselves at Ivie's expense. During the break, Tayo couldn't hold back her anger any longer. She walked up to Sophie, her eyes blazing with determination. Sophie, you need to confess. Ivie is innocent and you know it. Sophie laughed mockingly. Oh, Tayo, give it a rest. Unless you have a proof, there is nothing you can do. Now leave me alone. Tayo clenched her fists in frustration, but knew Sophie was right about the lack of evidence, and she turned to walk away. She noticed Alex watching the encounter. After Sophie and her friends left, Alex approached Tayo. Hey, Tayo, Alex said, his voice quieter than usual. I saw what just happened. I'm starting to get interested in this investigation. Can we talk to Ivie? Tayo looked at him, surprised but hopeful. Really? That would be great. Ivie needs all the support she can get. Alright, Alex agreed, but no one can know I am involved. Got it. Got it, Tayo promised. We'll keep it a secret. After school, Alex and Tayo decided to leave early and look for Ivie's house. They knew the estate where she lived, but not the exact house. As they wandered through the estate, they saw Ivie coming out to throw the trash. Her face lit up when she saw them. Tayo! Alex, what are you doing here? Ivie exclaimed, rushing to hug Tayo. We came to see you, Tayo said, smiling. We want to help. Ivie turned to Alex. She gave her a small nod. Hi, Alex. Thanks for coming. Let's go inside, Ivie suggested, leading them into the house. They settled in the living room and Ivie offered them drinks. So, what's been happening with you and Sophie? Alex asked, getting straight to the point. Ivie took a deep breath, recounting the events since her first day at school. She described how Sophie had bullied her, called her names, and ultimately framed her for stealing the money. Tayo nodded. Sophie is insistent on having proof. Without it, she won't back down. Alex listened intently. After a moment, he said, I believe you, Ivie. I will help, but we need a plan. And remember, no one can know I'm involved. We promise, Ivie and Tayo said in unison. Good, Alex replied. Let's start by figuring out how to catch Sophie in the act. We need to watch her closely and see if we can find any evidence. Tayo nodded, thinking. We could try to get close to our friends. Maybe one of them will slip up and say something. That's a good idea. Alex agreed. I will also keep an eye on her. If she's planning something, she might let her guard down around me. Ivy looked at her friends, feeling a spark of hope. Thank you both so much. I don't know what I would do without you. We are in this together, Tayo said firmly. We will clear your name, Ivy. Alex nodded. Just stay strong, Ivy. We'll find a way to prove your innocence. As they discussed their plan, Ivy felt a renewed sense of determination. With Alex and Tayo by her side, she knew she could face whatever challenges lay ahead. The truth would come out, and Sophie's reign of bullying would come to an end. The next day at school, which was a Friday, Alex decided it was time to take action. He had thought about his plan the previous night and decided to talk to Ella, one of Sophie's close friends. As he walked towards the school, he saw Ella ahead of him, walking alone. Hey Ella, Alex called out, jogging up to her. Ella turned, surprise flashing in her eyes. Hi Alex, she said, a shy smile playing on her lips. You look really beautiful today, Alex said, giving her a charming smile. I was wondering if you would like to see a movie after school. Ella's eyes widened with delight. She had secretly had a crush on Alex for a while and couldn't believe he was asking her out. I would love to, she exclaimed, trying to contain her excitement. Great, Alex replied, but let's keep this between us, okay? I don't want Sophie to know. It might complicate things. Ella nodded eagerly. Of course, Alex. I won't tell anyone. During the break, Tayo went to the principal's office, determined to make him see reason. She knocked on the door and entered when she heard Mr. Joshua Ibe's voice. Mr. Ibe, I need to talk to you about Ivie. Principal Ibe looked up from his desk, his expression stern. Tayo, we have already discussed this matter. We conducted our investigation and found that Ivie stole the money. She didn't do it, sir, Tayo insisted. Ivie is innocent, and Sophie set her up. I promise I will prove it. Mr. Ibe sighed, rubbing his temples. Tayo, we are doing our best. But without concrete evidence, there is nothing more we can do. Now, please, return to your class. But, sir, Tayo began, but the principal cut her off. Enough, Tayo. Leave my office immediately, he said, his voice leaving no room for argument. Feeling frustrated and defeated, Tayo left the principal's office. She had to find another way to prove Ivie's innocence. Back at Ivie's house, Ivie was busy with house chores and reading, trying to keep her mind off her troubles. She was anxious, waiting for the day when her name would be cleared and she could return to school. After school hours, Alex drove to the bus stop where he had arranged to meet Ella. Making sure no one saw them, he picked her up and they headed to a big cinema in Lagos. Ella was thrilled, thinking this was the beginning of a romantic relationship. After watching the movie, Alex took Ella to a nice restaurant. As they sat down to eat, Ella couldn't stop smiling. This is so nice, Alex. Thank you for inviting me. Alex smiled back, though his mind was focused on his plan. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself, Ella. I wanted to get to know you better. Ella blushed, feeling more confident. I have always thought you were really nice, Alex. Alex nodded, taking a sip of his drink. I will try to be. I'm not a bad person, you know. Ella looked at him curiously. What about Sophie? I thought you two were together. Alex shook his head. Sophie is beautiful, smart and intelligent. But I don't see her that way. She's more like a family to me. Ella's heart leaped with hope. So you don't like her that way? No, Alex replied, looking into her eyes. But what about you, Ella? Do you like me? Ella's cheek turned pink as she nodded. Yes, Alex, I do. Alex took her hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. Then let's take things slow and see where it goes. Ella nodded, feeling like she was in a dream. Okay, Alex, I would like that. After dinner, Alex drove Ella back to her house. As they sat in the car, Alex decided it was time to confront her about the money. Ella, can I ask you something serious? Ella looked at him, her heart beating faster. Sure, Alex, anything. Did you have anything to do with the money that was found in Ivie's bag? Alex asked, his tone serious. I'm starting to like you, Ella. But if I find out you were involved, I will never speak to you again. Ella's eyes widened with fear. She didn't want to lose Alex. She hesitated for a moment before confessing. It was Sophie. She planted the money in Ivie's bag. I had nothing to do with it, I swear. Alex nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and anger. Thank you for telling me the truth, Ella. Your secret is safe with me. Ella looked at him gratefully. Please don't tell anyone I said that, Alex. Sophie would make my life miserable. I won't, Alex promised. But we need to find a way to clear Evie's name. Ella nodded. I will help you in any way I can. Just tell me what to do. All right, Alex said, thinking quickly. We need to figure out how to prove Sophie's guilt without exposing you. Let's meet tomorrow and come up with a plan. Ella agreed, feeling a bit more at ease. Thank you, Alex. I'm glad I told you. Alex smiled, though his mind was already working on their next move. I'm glad you did too, Ella. We will get through this together. After dropping Ella off at her house, Alex drove away. His thoughts focused on the task ahead. He had a confession, but now he needed concrete proof to present to the principal and clear Yves's name. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but with Ella's help, he was determined to succeed. The next morning at school, Ella was determined to carry out the plan she and Alex had devised to expose Sophie. As she walked to the classroom, she felt a mix of nerves and resolve. She knew this was the right thing to do, even if it meant betraying her best friend. In the classroom, Sophie, Ella, and Taye sat together, chatting before class started. Ella initiated a conversation about Ivie, hoping to get Sophie talking. Did you hear anything new about Ivie? Ella asked, trying to sound casual. Sophie smiled. Oh, Ivie, she's probably never coming back to this school. Everyone believes she's a thief. The principal practically begged me to stay quiet about it. Taye giggled, while Ella forced a smile. Yeah, poor Ivie, Ella said, her voice trembling slightly. Poor Ivie. More like poor us for having to deal with her, Sophie continued, her tone dripping with contempt. Ivie thought she could waltz in here and take my place. She deserved what she got. Ella nodded, keeping her phone discreetly recording everything. I guess you are right. Sophie kept talking, unaware of the recording. Ivie won't be back here again, that's for sure. We showed her who is in charge. After class, Ella excused herself and went to the restroom. There, she quickly sent the audio recording to Alex. She felt a wave of relief wash over her, knowing she had done the right thing. Alex received the audio and immediately forwarded it to Tayo, who then sent it to Ivie. Tayo, feeling a sense of urgency, went straight to the principal's office. Mr. Ivie, I have something important to show you, Tayo said as she entered. Principal Ivie looked up, his expression stern. What is it again, Tayo? This had better be good. Tayo took a deep breath and played the audio recording. As the conversation between Sophie, Ella, and Taye played out, Principal Ibe's face turned from stern to shocked. I can't believe this, he muttered. Sophie lied. He immediately summoned Sophie to his office. When Sophie arrived, she looked confused and slightly nervous. Yes, Mr. Ibe. Sophie, we need to talk about the money that was found in Ivie's bag, Principal Ibe said, his voice firm. Sophie kept lying, insisting she had nothing to do with it. But Tayo played the audio recording again. As Sophie listened, her face paled. She realized she had been betrayed by one of her friends. Who recorded this? Sophie demanded, her voice shaking with anger. Principal Ibe ignored her question. Sophie, your behavior is unacceptable. I am calling your parents and you are suspended for 2 weeks. Sophie's parents were summoned and arrived shortly. They listened in disbelief as the principal explained what had happened. Their faces were filled with disappointment. We raised you better than this, Sophie, her mother said, her voice trembling. How could you do such a thing? Sophie looked down, unable to meet their eyes. She felt a mix of shame and anger, knowing she had been caught. Meanwhile, Ivie received a call from the school asking her to return. Overjoyed, she got ready and headed back to school the next day. When she arrived, Tayo was waiting for her with a big smile. Ivie, Tayo exclaimed, hugging her tightly. I'm so glad you are back. I'm so happy to be back, Ivy replied, tears of joy in her eyes. She spotted Alex standing nearby and smiled. Thank you, Alex. I don't know what I would have done without you. Alex nodded, a small smile on his face. You are welcome, Ivy, but it was Ella who really helped. Ella stepped forward, looking slightly nervous. Hi, Ivy. I'm so sorry for everything. I should have done something sooner. Ivy hugged her. Thank you, Ella. I'm grateful for what you did. As they talked, Taye noticed what was happening from a distance. After school, she went straight to Sophie's house to tell her what she had seen. Sophie, you won't believe this. Ella was the one who betrayed you. Sophie's face twisted with rage. What? How could she? She was with Ivie and Tayo, and they were all thanking her. Taye explained. Fuming, Sophie grabbed her bag. Come on, Taye. We are going to Ella's house. They waited near Ella's house, and soon enough, they saw her walking back from school. Sophie stomped up to her, her face red with anger. Ella, how could you betray me? Ella looked startled but stood her ground. Sophie, what you did was wrong. If you didn't deserve that. You traitor! Sophie screamed, pushing Ella to the ground. Ella tried to fight back, but Sophie and Taye overpowered her, hitting and kicking her. Stop it! Alex's voice rang out as he rushed over to break up the fight. He put Sophie away from Ella, glaring at her. What is wrong with you, Sophie? I thought you were better than this. Sophie's face crumpled as she realized Alex was truly angry with her. Alex, I save it, Sophie. Alex interrupted. You are nothing but a bully. I don't want anything to do with you. Sophie broke down in tears, knowing she had lost Alex's respect. Alex helped Ella to her feet and led her inside. Are you okay? He asked, his voice gentle. Ella nodded, tears streaming down her face. Thank you, Alex. Don't thank me, Alex said, shaking his head. I'm just sorry you had to go through that. Meanwhile, at Ivie's house, Jennifer was thrilled to hear that her daughter's name had been cleared. She hugged Ivie tightly. I'm so proud of you, Ivie. You stayed strong through all of this. Thanks, Mom, Ivie said, feeling a sense of relief and happiness. You have amazing friends, Jennifer added, and remember, no matter what, always stand up for what is right. I will, Mom, Ivy promised. I have learned so much from this. Jennifer smiled, brushing a tear from her cheek. You are going to do great things, Ivy. Just keep being you. With the support of her mother and friends, Ivy felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She knew that with honesty, courage, and kindness, she could overcome anything. The next day at school, Ella's dad drove her to school. His face was set in a determined expression. Ella, we need to make sure this never happens again, he said as they walked to the principal's office. Ella nodded, still sore from the beating she had received. I know, Dad. Inside the principal's office, Mr. Joshua Ibe listened carefully as Ella's dad explained what had happened. Principal Ibe, my daughter was attacked by Sophie and Taye yesterday. This kind of behavior cannot be tolerated. Principal Ibe's face darkened. I understand, Mr. Johnson. This is unacceptable. We will take immediate action. He summoned Taye to the office first. Taye walked in, looking nervous. Yes, Principal Ibe. Taye, we have received a complaint about your involvement in a fight with Ella. Is this true? Principal Ibe asked sternly. Taye looked down, ashamed. Yes, sir. You are suspended from school for 2 weeks. Principal Ibe said, this behavior is not tolerated at CK Prestigious High School. Next, Sophie and her parents were summoned. Their faces tight with anger. Sophie, you have been involved in a serious incident. This combined with your previous behavior leaves us no choice but to expel you from this school, Principal Ibe announced. Sophie's eyes widened in shock. Expelled? But enough! Her father interrupted. You have disgraced us enough. We will be sending you to a boarding school. Sophie's mother nodded, her expression stern. Maybe there you will learn some discipline. As Sophie was led away, Tayo, Ivie, Alex and Ella watched from a distance. I can't believe it's finally over, Ivie said, relief evident in her voice. Yeah, but it's sad it had to come to this, Tayo replied, her voice soft. From that day forward, Tayo, Ivie, Alex, and Ella became inseparable. They did everything together and supported each other through their studies. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. Every Friday evening, they all gathered at Ivie's house for movie night. Jennifer made sure they had all the snacks they needed and joined in sometimes, enjoying the laughter and fun that filled their home. One Friday evening, as they settled down to watch a movie, Ella couldn't help but glance at Alex. She had harbored feelings for him but remembered his words clearly. Alex, can I ask you something? She said, her voice tentative. Sure, Ella, what's up? Alex replied, looking at her. Do you still feel the same about waiting until university for a relationship? Ella asked, biting her lip. Alex nodded. Yes, Ella, I'm not ready for a relationship right now. I want to focus on my studies and our friendship. Ella smiled, though her heart ached a little. I understand, Alex. I will respect your decision. Thank you, Ella, Alex said, giving her a warm smile. I value our friendship a lot. The group continued to respect each other's boundaries and decisions, supporting one another through every challenge and success. Their friendship flourished, and they excelled in their studies. Finally, the day of their high school graduation arrived. The atmosphere was filled with excitement and anticipation. As they walked across the stage to receive their high school certificates, they couldn't help but feel proud of all they had achieved together. After the ceremony, as they gathered to take pictures, Sophie approached them. Her face was somber, and she looked nervous. Hi, everyone, she said quietly. They turned to face her, their expressions wary. Hi, Sophie, Ivie said consciously. I just wanted to apologize, Sophie began, her voice trembling. I was terrible to all of you, especially you, Ivie. I'm really sorry for everything I did. There was a moment of silence before Ivie stepped forward. Thank you for apologizing, Sophie. We all make mistakes. I forgive you. Tayo, Alex, and Ella nodded in agreement. We forgive you, Sophie, Tayo said gently. We hope you have learned from this. Sophie smiled, tears in her eyes. Thank you, I have. I wish you all best in the future. They watched as Sophie walked away, feeling a sense of closure. Their high school journey had been filled with ups and downs, but they had come out stronger. As they prepared for university, they made a promise to stay in touch no matter where life took them. Each of them was accepted into different universities, pursuing their dreams and ambition. On their last night together before heading off to university, they gathered at Ivie's house for one final movie night. Jennifer prepared a special dinner for them, celebrating their friendship and achievements. I'm going to miss this, Tayo said, her voice tinged with sadness. Me too, Alex agreed, but we will stay in touch. We have to. We will, Ivie said firmly, no matter what. Ella nodded, smiling at her friends. We have been through so much together. Nothing can break our bond. They spent the evening reminiscing about their high school years, laughing and sharing stories. As the night came to an end, they hugged each other tightly, knowing it was not a goodbye but a see you later. Years passed, and true to their promise, they remained friends. They visited each other during holidays, celebrated each other's successes, and supported one another through the challenges of university life. Their friendship stood the test of time, proving that the bonds they had formed in high school were unbreakable. They grew into confident, accomplished adults, always carrying with them the lessons they had learned and the memories they had created together. In this story, we learned that true friends always stand by each other, no matter what. Ivie had a hard time because someone lied about her. Her friends didn't give up. They worked together to find the truth. This shows that honesty and kindness are very important. It's always important to be brave and stand up for what is right. Even when things are tough, having good friends and staying true to yourself will help you overcome any problem. Thank you for watching this amazing story about Ivie and her friends on African Stories. If you liked it and felt inspired with their journey, please show your support by clicking the like button, sharing with your friends, and leaving a comment below. To see more interesting stories and learn about different cultures, subscribe to African Stories and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Your support means a lot and helps us bring more stories to you. Until we meet again, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep smiling.